Hi there everyone, my name is Alison Reeves. I'm a registered clinical counselor in private practice in the Oceanside area of Vancouver Island, just north of Nanaimo. Actually, I'm in Parksville. And in this 15-minute video, I want to talk to you about support system. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, except if you're an athlete or if you're a diva. Well, consider yourself a diva. And your, quotes, caregiver, consider that person a diva too, because everyone needs a support system. We need to have more than just one individual that we can turn to. And it might be actually internal resources. And this is something I definitely did not talk about in my caregiver video on support system. But I really want to with you, because what happens is that we need to have people or images or mentors that we can turn to, whether or not they're in actuality in our life. And this is something very, very important, because we're alone with our disease in so many respects. In other words, it's in our body. No one else really necessarily will ever really get it. And we need to be able to know what to do and how to handle it, because we can't escape it. This is the part about me having a chronic physical illness that allows me to speak so candidly about this. So if this you find too brash, I want you to know that I have a great deal of compassion and sense of kindness here, and I'm hoping it's coming across through the video, because what goes on when we're living with chronic physical illness is that it can be really tough at times. And support systems, though they're all wonderful, they may or may not be coming in quite the fashion we want them to be, or we might even not want anyone around us. We might really disagree with how things are being done on the outside. So in this case, okay, this is a good one of doing it, good way of doing it. If your caregiver or somebody asks you what would you like, and you find that difficult to answer, just say yes, because that'll confuse them. However, yes is always better than no, because it opens up conversation. If they say, do you want someone to help you, please use the word yes, even if you don't like it. Because one of the things that goes on is that living with a chronic physical illness is bloody tough at times and easier at other times, harder at other times. So the word to do is have it as being an opening to help, even if we don't want it at all times. And it can also be extremely humbling, if you noticed. I think that's one of the things that's so horrifying. People on the outside have such an opinion as to how we want to live our lives. Well, they may or may not be accurate. You know, it might not be exactly what we're looking for, but it matters to them. And I want you to know that their hearts are totally involved in the caregiving. Even if they're, as caregivers, might be absolutely superb or absolutely lousy, their heart's there. And what happens for us is that we have to have a heart for ourselves. So if the external support system isn't as much the way we would prefer it, if we cannot do it ourselves and we cannot ask for what we want or cannot get what we want, I want you to have something else in addition, because this is really, really important. In other words, do as much as you actually can to get exactly what you want, okay? And the word is yes and, rather than no but, because that makes a huge difference with the communication. What happens is we need mentors inside. We need people to turn to, systems to turn to, concepts to turn to. All those things we need, because they provide support. If you're religious, please use your religion. Please turn to your religion. Have it help you. Have it support you. Even if the church members don't support you, even if the minister or the priest or the pastor doesn't do as much as you would like, have the internal relationship with your God, internal relationship with your belief in the church. If it's with an imaginary figure, imaginary meaning somebody who's actually no longer here, like Gandhi, great. have your relationship with Gandhi. If it's a relationship with the Dalai Lama, but you've never met the Dalai Lama and probably never will, marvelous, still have your relationship with the Dalai Lama. If it's your relationship with your dog or your cat, marvelous, have your relationship with your dog or cat, recognizing that your dog or cat is going to be responding to you the way you are communicating, and guess what? Our diseases interfere with the way we communicate. So, at least have this in addition to whatever's out there in reality, because it's our internal reality that matters so much for support. It's almost always our interpretation that matters. So, for this support system, do you want it? I encourage you to say yes. Is it helpful? I want you to know that it always will be. It's one of the few times I will use the word always. Is it needed? Yes. What happens with a support system is that it takes it off of your caregiver's hands to be the only one. It takes it off of you as being the only one. We need to share. And that's hard. Sometimes. We want to turn to support when we're well and when we're not well. So the support team is there. One of your most powerful support members is yourself. It's a belief that you exist despite the disease. You know, diseases start and they go on until we die. And I have no idea where you're in at this point. I will let you know that you're always important. Always. Your relationship with yourself matters. It's a very important part. And it is important to be aware as we can be. When I've had problems with my MS, I mean, I always do, they're really minor now. I've had major attacks and I've gotten better. Major attacks gotten better. My brain has so much scar tissue in it and I recover really well. I'm not going to take credit for that. However, I will let you know part of my way of learning how to live better with MS was learning that my MS was not personal. Your Parkinson's is not personal. You just simply have to be the best you can be. And some people will really help that. So, if they're in your life, marvelous. If you can ask them to be in your life, great. If you can ask them to be in your mind, fabulous. My parents both died a long time ago. And one of the things that I learned, and I'm wondering if you ever have, and that is to still continue that relationship in your mind. What would Mom be saying right now? Or what would Dad be saying right now? How would they be helping? And just imagine that, because this is the thing about Parkinson's, as with so many other diseases, we might have internal difficulties in thinking. It's much harder to express it. So one of the things that goes on is that with central nervous system diseases, I'm not a doctor, central nervous system diseases, we have problems getting the messages across. So sometimes what we remember isn't accurate. Sometimes what we think is going on is not true later in the disease, or perhaps wherever there's a glitch in the brain. I want you to know that you're still okay. The disease is happening. So part of your support system, and probably the most major support system for you, is inside. This is going so counter to how so many other people would be talking about this. So I hope you really get it. I hope you really accept what I'm talking about. Because support systems are that whole idea of perhaps mechanically being able to do things. A lot of our caregivers are focused on that. More importantly, it helps us the more we can do for ourselves, but then to also be able to ask for what we want and know that we can't always get it. And we have to come to grips with that. We have to be able to accept that, and that's really hard. It's very demeaning, I think, for us when we finally realize the impact of our disease is indiscriminate in how it attacks, and we just have to live with the fallout from that. So I want you to know your self-esteem, it resides within you. It's a belief in yourself and how you are managing your disease, how you are living well despite your disease. And your support system might be around you, okay? Please don't rely on that though, because psychologically it's your mental health that's by far the most important, even though, believe me, physical health matters. I mean, no one likes, bed sores and all the difficulties that arise. I agree. However, there are many other people who are doing that for you when you're unable to do that. They might not be as gracious as you want them to be. It might be embarrassing for you. Probably our support system comes into high regard when we realize we don't have to be embarrassed about having a disease, nor the consequences of having that disease. The disease just simply is. So, from me to you, the support system that's the most important is yourself, your emotional energy with yourself, what you tell yourself, how you handle yourself, mentally, emotionally. Some of us have had some very strong inner guides. Turn to those at this point, because they'll be part of your support team. You're worth it, even though I don't know you. You're simply yourself, and then you've had this disease come at you for whatever reason. My belief system is that diseases are random in general, and that we have to learn what to do with them because we've got the rest of our lives. I have no idea how old you are, but you've got a lot of years ahead of you. So I'd love to talk about more about this further, and hopefully you will be able to hear more videos from me. You sure will in this particular pilot study though. Thank you. Alison Reeves, Registered Clinical Counselor in lovely Oceanside, British Columbia. Thanks.